From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In today's recording, we go over the CR for Stimulus 1.0 that has $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds allocated for the spending, and this could be your check. I'll go over the latest great news in today's recording. We'll go over CR for Stimulus 2 and 3.0 that emerging in the Senate with bipartisan support. Then we'll be going over to CR for Stimulus 4.0, the Russian sanctions bill. And then, of course, we'll be looking at the Build Back Better Act. And that incredible Build Back Better Act has those MSCs in there. Adult automatic stimulus checks, so says the senators. They want that money to go out, and guess who also wants that money to go out? Joseph Biden, who says in new statements that he wants all the incredible money of the Build Back Better Act to go out across the land right away. Then we'll be looking at the opportunity for SS 300. Yeah, you heard me right. Joe Biden promising SS 200 on the campaign trail and in his transition papers. But today we're going to look at 300 and 400. Oh my goodness. Then we'll be looking at the opportunity to repurpose sums of money, and then the big exciting details is your money. Viewers have gotten $10, $20, $30, $40,000 this week. I'm going to show you how to get these big sums of money. It's coming up later in this video, and it's third stimulus. We got a big recording today, folks, with the Build Back Better Act heating up. First CR, second, third, and fourth CR as well for stimulus. And then SS 300. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing, and the lobster shorts are still here. I mean, really? Those incredible details heat up. A big, bold, beautiful Mornings LA. You're here with me live and direct, and the excitement starts right here, right now on Mornings. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful day. Hey, so the recon passed in the House of Representatives, now sent to the Senate, but also sent to the Senate is CR for Stimulus 2.0 and 3.0 that'll merge, along with 1.0 that now has that discretionary funds in there as well. I have all the incredible great news about that, plus CR for Stimulus 4.0. Those incredible details coming up into today's recording, direct and live from Santa Monica, California. Then we'll look back into the Build Back Better Act and those incredible acts across the land that Joseph Biden wants to go out of those adult automatic stimulus checks, MSCs. My goodness, the first month being $2,000. Then we'll look at the opportunity for the President of the United States to repurpose sums of money and to give you SS 300. This is $300 of money on top of your existing benefits of checks per month. Those incredible details and more coming up in today's recording. We have a lot here, but first I want you to go onto this video right now and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button to be part of the #3 most watched financial news channel across the land. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member because Frame Wars is not heating up. I always like to tease you with a little bit of frame wars to see if you're on your toes. The incredible money is heating up, and I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. We have a lot in today's recording. We're going to go over Build Back Better to start with, and then we'll go over into the breaking news out CR for Stimulus across the land. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing. Let's look at incredible checks that are in Build Back Better to start. 3 clusters, 3 add-ons, and there's a lot of checks that amount to at least $15,000. You ready for that first cluster? I think you are. Here we go. In that first cluster, they got in there the hazard pay. one more year for my earned income tax credit for my essential workers. $3,600 for the CTC, $4,000 of elder care, the $550 check for the Pell Grant recipients, $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle, and then the home repairs if you live in a low-income community. Wow. That is the first cluster. Now, there are 3 add-ons of checks in this incredible recon, and the first add-on comes from here in Southern California. It's one of the most exciting provisions of this recon, and it comes from Maxine Waters. And what is it? It's $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. You heard me right. This is money given to the seller in your name at the time of the close of escrow for the federal government. Wow. Now let's go to that second cluster checks. Home repairs and paid leave. Home repairs is to weatherize your home. Every time that neighbors move in are all wearing lobster shorts. And then paid leave is if you have to stay home from work because you got sick because some showed up to work wearing lobster shorts. How much is that paid leave? It's a lot of money. It is $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. $35,000 annual salary, that's $800 a week. If you make $15,000 annual salary, it's $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 to 6 weeks per year. So yeah, that is a lot of money. $46,000 a year, W-2, 1099. And now if you don't work but your son or daughter does work, they're going to get the check for the household incredible details across the land. And that is the incredible big money in that paid leave. Now, that is the second cluster checks. Let's look at that second add-on of checks. Comes from the incredible Bob Casey, and it's $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Wow, just a little bit less than $250, again, for free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Let's look at that third cluster checks. Seniors and free internet. Wow. In this third cluster, they got in there the free internet for all, the free school meals for all, the independent contractors check, the seniors checks, the farmers checks. But what are these seniors? On the House side, they got in there the Medicaid gap fix and then the hearing check. On the Senate side, they vowed to add in there dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course when we're talking about those senators because they have a lot of things to add in there, and including that is what? If you're in the live chat, write those 3 letters right now. I bet you know what they are. It starts with the letter M, MSC. Those senators represent, they're adding these MSCs in this incredible recon, and Joe Biden says, in new comments from Andrew Yates, his spokesperson, that every check that's in that recon needs to go out right away. These MSCs are automatic adult stimulus checks. Now, the children get checks as well. I'm going to go over that in a second. But what does this MSC mean? It means automatic IRS monthly stimulus checks. First, who gets it, then how much, when would you get it, and new questions I'm going to answer live on air because people ask me some great questions on social media overnight. First, eligibility would be the same as a third stimulus check, says the Senators of Viewers' channel. Single individuals, $75,000 less annual income, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less annual income, you get it, double it. Family of 4, you get it as well, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you get it as well. Adult dependents would also get it. So one viewer overnight asked, well, what about that family of 4? What if there's some children? So the children will not get 2 checks. They won't get this and then also the CTC. They'll get the CTC check up to a certain age. And after that age, then they get this. That's how it rocks and roll. Then one viewer in the live chat yesterday said, my fiance says you have to pay back the check. My response to that viewer is, time to look for a new fiance. Another person said, this is the encounter group. Well, use the encounter group to hook you up with a new fiance and return that engagement ring if it's still within the 30-day return policy. Because your fiance doesn't know what he's talking about. This is not taxable. And then another person yesterday in the live chat said, this is only for California. If it was only for California, folks, it would come with a surfboard. It's not just for California. So there you go. And that is MSC. Next question is, how much? This is very important. The payout would be $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. So says the Senators to viewership of this channel. So then the question is, How do they get it in there? Very important question, and they get it on the Senate side. During the modifications in the Senate subcommittee, the legislation passed in the House back in November, now in the Senate, and the senators would modify the legislation during Senate subcommittee because they have a lot of other stuff to add into this recon, the Build Back Better, which is where we are still in the video. Then they have a Senate bill, then they call for a vote, then they have a 2-day vote-a-rama. But because that has not happened, 4 weeks ago I brought back on air CR4 stimulus. The concept is to insert a stimulus check in another piece of legislation that has bipartisan support, is small, just a few pages in length, and has an inherent deadline. And now we have big updates today about CR for Stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, all great news. But if you're new to this channel and don't know what CR for Stimulus is, let's go over the details of it starting right now. It was my creation that made history in December 2020, and the viewership of this channel, the Purple Power, also made history by pushing and getting it in there. Let's go over what CR for Stimulus is about. In spring of 2020, we had gotten money from a first stimulus package, and that money was used up by us, and we needed more money. So suddenly they started to talk about a second stimulus package, meaning it's thousands of pages in length, and it was partisan. It did not have bipartisan support. So who negotiated it? At the time, it was negotiated by Nancy Pelosi on behalf of the Democrats out of San Francisco, and then Steve Mnuchin on behalf of the Republicans out of New York, then Treasury Secretary. Spring negotiations, no deal. Summer, no deal. Fall, no deal. And December, no deal. So by December, I said, you know what? This ain't working. We need something else. So what did I look for? I looked for the following. I looked for a bill, just a few hundred pages in length. This was a package, thousands of pages in length. Something that was bipartisan. This was partisan. And something that had an inherent deadline. This was going on 11 months. And I found it. A continuing resolution. CR. It refers to a continuing resolution that funds the federal government every 3 to 6 months. And with that, I prepared my first recording. I also prepared for the criticism that I expected to ensue, and I delivered it on air in December 2020. I said, hey everybody, how are you doing? It's LALATE, and you're ready to rock and roll because I have an idea. It's called CR for Stimulus. If you're in the live chat, write it right now, the hashtag campaign. We've seen these negotiations on the second stimulus going on for 11 months. We don't have a deal. So why not put a stimulus check in the continuing resolution that has a December 2020 deadline? Do you like the idea? Viewers love the idea. And with that, we pushed to insert a stimulus check in the continuing resolution, bipartisan support, inherent deadline December 2020, and a small couple of pages of a bill. And then one morning, we heard the criticism. Oh, exactly what we anticipated. It doesn't belong in there, LALATE. CR, a continuing resolution, is to fund the federal government. Putting checks for the American people doesn't belong in there. And I delivered my response. You're right. It doesn't belong in there. But since the start of time, Congress has passed legislation where they put money in there that doesn't belong. We had a COVID relief bill that proposed money for foreign military governments, another that proposed to expand the Department of Copyrights, and one that proposed to build a new FBI building. We can insert it in there. And this check is no different than the other checks that they've inserted to legislation over the years that doesn't belong in there. So we woke up one morning, we heard stimulus was in the CR. Yes, we thought we had won. So we looked and realized, oh no, it's unemployment stimulus. Not what we asked for. So we pushed back again. And finally, it got in there. A $600 stimulus check was inserted in the continuing resolution in December 2020. I made history. The viewership of this channel, the Purple Power, made history because the $600 stimulus check went out. The CR became a law, and you got paid. Guess what happened also? Second stimulus fell apart. No bill, no vote, no law, no check. No one got a penny from second stimulus. It fell apart. Well, 4 Saturdays ago, I brought back CR for Stimulus back on this channel. And guess what happened? Immediately, within 24 hours, we heard out of the House Democrats that they want to do multiple economic pieces of legislation. And within 24 hours, they passed the first one in the House. That first piece of economic legislation passed, then went to the Senate, where the Senate said, we're ready to pass our version. These are Republicans. CR for Stimulus 3.0 heating up. What's the update on 3 and 2? I have it in the second half of this video. Meantime, the Russian sanctions bill, CR for Stimulus 4.0, I have big new updates as well. But the great news is that CR for Stimulus 1.0, oh boy, is it looking good today. $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds that are at the discretion of Joe Biden's cabinet members, including Janet Yellen, head of Treasury that oversees IRS, are now in there with bipartisan support. Oh boy, it's getting good. It's coming up in the second half of this video, the breaking news I have for you as well. Then we're going to look at the opportunity of SS200 that was passed up by Joe Biden, but not going to be passed up by me. I'm going to show you how now you could be looking at SS300 by no less than 30 days out. The latest details on SS200, SS300, and SS400 breaking news coming up after the commercial break. Then the opportunity of the president to repurpose money and stay at the very end, as viewers have now gotten big sums of money this week. $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. I'm going to show you how to get these big sums of money. It's third stimulus. We got a lot in the second half of this video. All breaking news, all exciting news, all money for you. And then I have my personal commentary coming up later in this video. It's a big morning. The excitement is just getting started. See you back in 60 seconds as Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now. This Morning's LA goes into its big second half. We got exciting, great news about the Build Back Better Act that Joe Biden says all those checks will go out, which includes those adult automatic stimulus checks. I have the latest details on that. Then we'll be looking at CR for Stimulus 1, 2, and 3, and 4.0. Breaking news today. You're watching it live on Mornings LA right now, direct from Santa Monica, California. Then we'll be looking at the opportunity of SS300, SS400. What's going on? It's huge, and you're only hearing it on this channel. Then, of course, the big exciting details of repurposing money and getting tens of thousands of dollars today. Viewers have gotten $40,000 this last week. Did you get it? If you haven't, stay later in this video because it's coming up as well. We got a big second half. I'm excited you're here. It's a big day, but first I need your help. Go under this video right now and subscribe. You're watching the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Help us go to #2. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP, so you get the incredible newsletter Monday through Friday coming up later today at 7 o'clock tonight. We got a lot of shows coming up later today with Noontime up next across the board. But boy, let's pick up where we left off at CR for Stimulus 1.0. So CR for Stimulus 1.0 has some great breaking news today, folks. So the CR, the continuing resolution, has a new inherent deadline of early March, number one, and $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds included in there. Whoa, that is huge. First, the discretionary funds are at the discretion of including cabinet members, which include Janet Yellen, your Treasury Secretary, and of course she oversees IRS. 1.5 trillion is a lot of money, folks, because that is far bigger than many of the stimulus packages we've seen before. All it takes is to ensure that those discretionary funds stay in there and that they use their discretion to ensure the funds are spent on you. This is huge. Bipartisan support, small bill, inherent deadline of just a few days away, and big sums of money included in there. I mean, you can't get it any better than this, but we can't take anything for granted. So I need you to advocate to those senators, including Leahy and Schumer, who are very important in the equation. But you need to advocate to them and say, make sure you spend those discretionary funds in the continuing resolution on us as a stimulus check. What's at issue? You want to tell them that the Build Back Better Act will get passed. We have your support. But we've been waiting a long time for it, 11 months. We need a check. You represent, we're getting a check. We haven't seen a check. And now there's $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds in there. Don't spend the funds on some lobster shorts. So pick up the phone and contact Sanders, Schumer, and all the other senators seen in this loop, Casey, Coons, Warren, Wyden, and say, spend that discretionary funds on us. And boy, folks, this is great news. Now let's go over to the latest update on CR for Stimulus 2.0 and 3.0. Well, 1 week after I delivered the recording on this channel to bring CR for Stimulus back on, baby, then the House Democrats said we need multiple pieces of economic legislation to pass to deal with this economy. Now, economic pieces of legislation are different than stuff that Bernie talks about. Dental, vision, hearing, that's social reform. That's also including Build Back, but they support Build Back Better. They just want economic reform to go out to give you assistance. Within 24 hours, the House passed the first piece of legislation, sent it to the Senate, where the Senate Republicans, yeah, you heard me right, led by Todd Young, says we are going to merge what we're doing as Senate Republicans with what the House is doing as Democrats. Wow, this is huge. Why so much bipartisanship? Let's go over what is new this week. What's going on right now is that economic situations are very different than 2 years ago. In 2020, we had Republicans saying the economy is great, Democrats saying it's not great. So they were not agreeing on the situation. Also at the time, we had Democrats basically saying we need to deal with it certain ways, and Republicans saying we need to deal with it a different way. Now they're agreeing both that they need to address inflation, address economic uncertainty. That's why they're trying to get it done. The voting electorate is also very different. Millions of Americans don't look at Congress and say, I'll elect you if you'll do something. They're saying, no, do it right now. So suddenly they're both dealing with the situation right at hand. It's also what we see when we look at CR for Stimulus 4.0. The Russian sanctions bill. Now, this one doesn't make a lot of sense to me, folks. Why? Because Democrats and Republicans in the Senate said, we need to pass this Russian sanctions bill 3 weeks ago. It's a sanction of Vladimir Putin for mobilizing 100,000 troops near the Ukrainian border. They want to pass it before he invades. And it was 3 weeks ago I said that we have Republicans, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, we have Democrats, Bob Menendez, saying we need to pass this. So who's to blame for this one? Chuck Schumer. It should have been done 2-3 weeks ago. And the question is why it's not done, really not clear across the land. But this is CR for Stimulus 4.0 that needs to be get done. And of course, this is the fourth opportunity to insert a check across the land. Great news. We'll be looking back into Build Back Better in just a second. But now let me take you over to SS200. Oh boy, this is exciting news, folks. And boy, we'll start with the excitement, taking it back 2 years ago. In 2020, spring of 2020, people were running for president, and Liz Warren and Joe Biden were running for the Democratic nominee for president. Liz Warren, in her run for president, promised SSI and SSDI reform, a change in Social Security Administration, with the following: the removal of the asset cap by act of Congress, removal of the income cap by act of Congress, and removal of the marriage penalty by act of Congress. She bowed out for her run for presidency, but Joe Biden said, I like Liz's policies so much, I'm going to adopt them. He did. He adopted them, and then he won the general election. And in his transition papers at joebiden.com, still published, he wrote in right that the American people would see an additional $200 a month for your benefits. Part of Liz Warren's promise. How many months? 6 to 12 months. Not a lifetime, just 6 to 12 months of $200 additional benefits on top of your existing benefits. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, VA, RB, across the land. What happened? He came into office and suddenly it didn't happen. And the Democratic senators say, you know what, you're not taking care of it. We're going to take care of it with this stimulus. And that didn't heat up. So what did I do 2 weeks ago? I brought SS200 back in the mix on this channel. Now, I'm going to show you in this recording how you could see $300 on top of your existing benefits by the end of this year and $400 by the year thereafter. It's huge. First, we're going to go over how it works. Then we're going to go over the calculation. And then we'll go over what Joe Biden has to do to get this done. The concept is very simple. Joe and Liz promise you $200 of benefit, $200 on top of your existing benefits, 6 to 12 months. I'm going to give you $300 on top of your existing benefits lifetime by December. $200 now, and then an additional $100 in about December, January next year. And if my indicators are right, an additional $90 the year after that, which would be SS 400 at that point. How do we do this? Very simply. One thing. Remove COLA as your benchmark and replace it with inflation. Let's do the calculation right now. COLA is a benchmark that determines how much your benefits go up year after year, and COLA doesn't move. It hasn't moved for many, many years. This last year, it did move finally because inflation is out of control. It came in at 5.9%. Had they used inflation, which is about 8%, you would have seen an additional $200 on top of your existing benefits. All that Joe Biden has to do is replace COLA with inflation, and there is your additional $200 30 days from now. Done. I'm going to go over that more in specifics in just a second. Then, inflation is likely to come in at 4% later this year. That's an additional $100. That's SS 300. There's $300 on your top of your benefits. All right, let's go over the math of this first before we go over how it gets done. It was spring of 2021, last year, where I said two things. Inflation in December 2021 would be 8% and not temporary. Wall Street at the time said 2 to 3%. And temporary. I said, I don't buy it. Federal Reserve, Jay Powell, said 1 to 2% temporary or transitory. I said, I don't buy it. I said, it's going to be 8% in December, and it's not going to be temporary. Guess what? I was right in two regards. First, Department of Labor released inflation numbers for December. It was 7.5%. Number two, inflationary numbers, which are coming out in just a few days, will likely show that January last month was about the same or higher. A new report today shows that inflation in some states, like Florida, is upwards of 11%. Tampa is almost at 12% inflation. So inflation is much higher than even where it was at 7%. I predicted 8%. Guess what? It's likely not to go down this month, last month, January or February. Indicators now suggest it won't go down till later this year. There you go. Got it right. Now let's look at December of this year. Many reports are now signaling that inflation is going to be about 4% later this year, not the usual 1, 2, 3%. That would mean 4% on top of your existing benefits, because every year your benefits go up if inflation goes up. They never step down. There you go. That's SS $200 right now, and then an additional $100 later this year. So how do you get this done? Only a phone call. All that Joseph Biden has to do is pick up the phone and contact over to the Social Security Administrator, who he put in when he fired Commissioner Saul in 2021. All he has to do is say, you know what, this is your president, and I want you to start paying benefits upon a new benchmark. Inflation, no longer COLA. He did this with your SNAP by telling them to raise SNAP at Department of Agriculture. All he has to do is make that phone call. No executive order needed, no act of Congress needed, and immediately you'd see your benefits go up $200 30 days thereafter, an additional $100, that would be $300 later this year when they reassess your benefits. That is SS 300, folks. And 2 years out from now, it would be SS 400. Let's look at the next opportunity that Joe Biden has to repurpose sums of money. The president has the opportunity to repurpose money from programs that have now expired, especially programs from COVID, and repurpose that money to go out to you. Donald Trump did this in 2020. When he understood that millions of Americans needed more weeks of unemployment, he found extra money at FEMA, repurposed it as LWA, unemployment assistance. All required was a call from President Trump. Joe Biden can do this as well, just repurpose money out the door, and we are ready to rock and roll. This is how it gets done. Now, let's go back into Build Back Better. And the great news about Build Back Better is that Joe Biden, from his spokesperson, Andrew Bates, says, or Yates, or, whatever motel he owns, says that the president wants all these checks to go out and wants them to go out right now. He's ready. Santa saying they want to insert that adult automatic stimulus check. Well, that would be included in there as well. Let's go over all these incredible checks of the Build Back Better right now. Get your pen and paper ready. Time to take notes because there's a lot of checks. Lots of checks in this Build Back Better. We want to go over each of them starting right now. And here we rock and roll. They got $72,500 of what you can deduct on state and local taxes in Build Back, raising it from $10,000. They got cheaper prescription medication checks, growing it from 20 to 30 at year 2028. They got $40 billion of free job training checks to take a higher paying job. They got the Medicaid gap fix checks, which will allow millions of Americans to have subsidized private insurance for low-income uninsured people in 12 Republican holdout states. They got in there the housing checks, which I'm going to come back to in a second. They got also in there one more year of the hazard pay, the earned income tax credit for my essential workers. One more year, the CTC, $3,600. That's the children's checks. Remember, the children get their checks. The adults get their checks, very different checks across the board. They also got in there the household checks. But now let's turn to the incredible money of the housing. Two provisions of checks which are new, which are home repairs and also weatherize your home and the first-time home purchases. But the other checks are repeat from third stimulus. And get your pen and paper ready because here is money for you today. Wow. And I have my commentary on this as well. Viewers have been listening and learning, and this last week, viewers have gotten $10, $20, $30, $40,000 from this channel this last week. And it's from third stimulus. Third stimulus is repeated in fourth stimulus, but no time or place to wait around for it under fourth stimulus. You can get it right today. So what are we going to get? We're going to get, starting first, the rent. Here's a graphic. This is from October. The rent has gone up a lot since then. It's upwards of $40,000. Under the word mornings, there's the name Nisi. You can't see it because it's shadowed by the overlay graphic, but Nisi got $20,000 of rent at the time. Remember Nisi's name in the $20,000, coming back to it in a second. Where do you get this rent? From 6 places. If you remember, pull up the newsletter and follow along with me. I'm going to go over the money with you right now. 6 places: City Hall, City House Authority; County Hall, County House Authority; State Hall, and State Housing Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. 3 must. You must reach out to all 6 places. Number 2, you must get applications on file everywhere. And number 3, you must do another round. I have more about rent in just a second, and new insight about it, brand new on mornings, coming up in just a second. I'll come back to it in just a moment. But let's turn over to utilities. Here you go, Mark. His brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities. Don't forget to get utilities. It's utility assistance because of COVID. Reach out to all utility companies, then get SNAP from Department of Agriculture. It's so much money. $25,000 a year is what Mark's brother-in-law is getting. Over 10 years, the family will get $250,000. Can you tell me any broadcast financial news channel that's getting any family $250,000 over 10 years? They don't exist. Here's Niecy. Remember her? Yeah. So she got 3 items at the time. She inspired countless viewers to get 3 items or more, like Art Sullivan. And here was Mark at 2 items, 32. I said, Mark was your third. He got his third, brought him to 50,000. Now he's at over 100,000. Lorraine, she was at 105, and now she's at 120. So there's Niecy. Let's go back into what the latest update is on Niecy. She heard me. She follows very well, takes good notes, and she got, on top of her $30,000, another $10,000 this last week. Wow. Here's the update from Niecy. Hey, I got another $7,000 for rent, another $3,000 for utilities. I told you I'd have an update. Hello, Purple Power family. Great job, Niecy. So there you go. Seeing her going up another $10,000 on top of her existing funds that she got before. And there is Karen. Here's what Karen got this last week. $23,000 more for rent, $13,000 more for SNAP, and $4,000 for more utilities. That's about $40,000. She says, I feel so blessed. Great news. So let's go over this round. When third stimulus became law, most viewers of this channel got about $45,000 from third stimulus for this rent and more. Then last summer, they got another round. Last fall, most viewers got $15,000. They got 3 to 4 months of rent, bringing them to about January or February this year. And then you got a couple of utilities. Well, get another round now. I want you to get this round out as far as May. If you're new to this channel, never did this before, get that membership newsletter and reach out to those 6 places and get it out as far as you can to May. If you are a long-standing viewer and got money for this before, get another round today. Don't wait. There is brand new sums of money out there. Go get it. Then if you reach out to an organization and got money from before, they say they're out of money, then lean on the nonprofits, they're replenished. Here's some new things I want to go over this morning on Mornings LA. Dragon is in the live chat, and Dragon had a great comment overnight, which is the idea that maybe you are told by mercurial landlords that you have to be behind on rent to qualify is generally no longer the case. Now, every jurisdiction has different requirements, but back in 2020, you had heard certain things that said you have to be behind, you have to do this. Generally, across most jurisdictions in the United States now, you do not have to be behind on the rent. That is not a qualifier for you to get that rent. Number 2, every location has different qualifications. So if you get a no, keep on moving. I used to say that in all the recordings. I haven't said that lately. If you say a no, keep on moving. Because I used Johnny as my example. Johnny got 8 programs approved in 1 week. $80,000. No, 7 programs approved in 1 week, which is $80,000. The reason I talk about Johnny is because he had made at least 17 phone calls. He had 50% rejection rate. People think if you have a rejection, you should stop. No, that means you should keep on pushing because you want to get lots of funds approved, lots of programs approved. Number 3, I had a viewer yesterday who wrote something in the live chat and then sent it to me on posted on Facebook or somewhere that in Minnesota there's no money. Untrue. And then I had a couple people yesterday and the day before saying there's no money in Missouri. Untrue. Every state has money. Every state has money. It may not be in the same location in every state, but every state has money. I've been making this recording for over 1.5 years. And I know the states where the money is often more at the state level than the county level, more at the county level than the city level. It's all dependent, but there absolutely is money. Keep on pushing. Finally, my commentary of what to expect for this new week. I know that you're going to see a lot of Russia-Ukraine news over the next 7 days. That does not mean that Congress has forgotten about your recon or about your checks. It does mean with Russia and the Ukraine situation getting very heated up, that everything that I've been predicting on this channel about Russia since 4 months ago will likely come to a head. Remember what I said? That the rumor of Russia will cause financial markets to crash and that the news may level it out. The markets still have a lot of downside to go, folks. Stocks, bonds, and also crypto have a lot of downside to go. Number two, inflation is going from where it is now to actually worse. So if you're on the live chat right now, post what the cheapest price of gasoline regular is where you are, where you live right now. Because guess what? It's going up. And guess what's also happening? Broadcast media is starting to make the same recording I used to make with you about 2 weeks ago, which was, can you as a viewer determine inflation before I announce it to you? Absolutely. And so they're doing these quotes where they're interviewing people in Tampa, for example, said, how much is your eggs? My eggs went up in the last week again. That's what the person in Tampa said. So what does this mean? It means inflation is still getting worse. And as inflation gets worse, you need more assistance. When we talk about third stimulus, the reason we talk about third stimulus is the same reason we talked about for over a year. You got bills to pay. And as inflation kicks in, you have got more bills to pay. I can't get your car fixed in the driveway, nor can the Federal Reserve, nor can Joe Biden. But there is third stimulus money out there that can alleviate other bills across the household and get those sums of money. Coming up today, we have a whole slate of programming. We have Afternoons LA brand new at 3 o'clock. We first have the Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock. We have Evenings LA at 5 o'clock, brand new, followed by Evenings Countdown at 6. Then Home Stream Stimulus at 7, Evenings Extra at 8 o'clock. We have Noontime today at 11 o'clock. And then we have our overnight shows tonight as well at 9, 10, and 11:30. And then we go into our sunrise shows slightly before sunrise. Here's what to recap across the board. CR for Stimulus 1.0 looking really good with $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds that can be spent on you. You need to advocate to those senators to make sure they spend the money on you. It has bipartisan support. It's in there. It has an inherent deadline just a few days away from now. You want to make sure they spend the money on you and not on lobster shorts. CR for Stimulus 2 and 3 merging in the Senate. Very good news. Bipartisan support with that. The opportunity of CR for Stimulus 4.0 still there, being delayed because of the Ukrainian-Russia situation, not particularly clear why. Then SS 200 can go to SS 300 by replacing COLA with inflation. Advocate. This is what Joe Biden needs to do. If he did SS 300 right today, this would make a big change for millions of seniors on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits right out the door. Wouldn't need an act of Congress, wouldn't need a recon, wouldn't need a bill. It's very easy. Finally, repurposing money. And lastly, go getting that big money from third stimulus. Finally, keep it positive, keep it motivated, keep it smiling, because there's a lot of legislation and a lot to learn. This channel is here to help you learn about all the sums of money that you are entitled to. And learning starts with listening, asking questions when something is not clear. As our one viewer said, what about that family of 4? What about if the family has some children? Great question. If the children are of adult age, they would get the MSC. If they're of minor age, they would get the CTC. Great question. It's that type of staying on top of it that you want to do. And that's why viewers like Nisi getting another $10,000 on top of her $30,000. This is how staying on top of it works. And with that, I want you part of this incredible family and hit that subscribe button. See me back at noontime. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Have a beautiful day. I know it's going to cool off in some parts of this country, so stay warm. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful day. Continue to advocate for all the money that's yours and continue to push for all the money that is coming. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LALATE for more.